Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to Where the Road Rises with me, your host, Eileen Curlin-Walsh. I am delighted to introduce you today to Executive Board member and recent winner of the Oak Lawn Chamber Outstanding Member for 2022, Nick Galino of JP Architects. Growing up in Oak Lawn, Nick gained a deep appreciation for the structure and interaction of South Side communities. The Palos Heights community holds a special place in Nick's story as his company is located right here. Nick's background as a business owner and a marketing director gives him a unique understanding of the business community and the challenges the community faces. Nick is full of ideas and energy. He is passionate about entrepreneurship and what the next big idea is. A true lifelong learner, Nick believes it is all about the journey. The stops along the way shape you, and in his short 32 years, he's garnered a lot of wisdom, a little of which he will share with us today. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm so happy to be here today.
Well, we're delighted to have you, and you work for JP Architects Limited right here in Palos Heights. So tell us a little bit about the company and the process, and when someone hires an architect for a project, what does that process look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So JP Architects was started in 2015. In those years, we're a new company, but we have professionals on staff with a wealth of knowledge. Initially, we specialized in residential design, so any home addition, new construction, or renovation of a facility, that is where you would find us. We've grown to this point where now we are handling commercial renovations and commercial architecture overall, restaurant design, and then public planning projects where we're working with federal, state, and city government agencies.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Tell
Absolutely.
me about a project you're working on right now, JP Architects, that you're excited about, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. One project that we're really excited about is actually over in Oak Lawn. I did not mention this, but we started in Oak Lawn. So, and recently we moved to Palos Heights, recently as in 2017, but still, our company started in Oak Lawn. So to go back there and be able to bring them a state-of-the-art restaurant is very exciting. This restaurant is located at 111th and Cicero. It is Paisan's Pizzeria. So it's going to bring a brand new concept to the Oak Lawn community. By the name, you might think they only do pizza, but they are truly a full-service Italian restaurant.
Beautiful. And is there another one of those restaurants in the Illinois?
Yes, they actually have 5 open locations currently: Berwyn, Chicago, Lisle, and 2 others. But ultimately they're trying to expand their footprint, and they targeted Oak Lawn to actually be a flagship store. So this design is really creative, beautiful. It's going to add a whole aesthetic that Oak Lawn doesn't currently have, and we're very excited to bring it.
And where is the restaurant going to be, Nick?
111th and Cicero in the Mariano's development. You also have TJ Maxx and Home Goods there. So just a few stores to give people some landmarks.
And Crate and Barrel. I love that new development in Oak Lawn.
Yes.
So how did you get here, Nick? Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah. So, I graduated with a degree from Illinois State University in public relations. The traditional use of a public relations degree is to connect your businesses with, let's say, like a publication, to get a story placed in a publication in a newspaper. And while that is valuable for thought leadership and different other elements to build your business's brand, it's not usable for all businesses. So what I saw was the future moving towards a more technology use instead of this traditional use of newspaper, magazine, etc. And we needed to give these small businesses an opportunity to utilize social media. So I started my own marketing consultancy. Working with a variety of different clients, including yourself, Eileen,
yes.
for 4 years. Jose, the owner of JP Architects, was actually a client as well. I worked with other professional services, including real estate agents, title companies, you as a lawyer, some restaurants, and so on. So like the wealth of knowledge I was able to build from that really has laid a foundation for who I am and what I do as a marketing professional.
And I have to say, you winning last year the Outstanding Chamber Member was so well deserved, Nick. And I used to think when you were, I would say by far the youngest member to win that award and one of the youngest members of the Chamber, you were able to take what you knew, this cutting edge of marketing techniques, social media, and many of the Chamber members were a little bit older, not digital natives, and you were able, especially for me, to take my practice into the world of Instagram and Facebook, to be able to do YouTube videos, to be able to do live videos. That revolutionized my practice. I am comfortable with those things now, and I would certainly not have been then. So another thing I have to say about working with Nick, there is this general idea that millennials are snowflakes, not as hardworking, entitled, spoiled, much more so than the Gen Xers or the baby boomers. But Nick, you proved to all of us that you were just as hardworking, just as progressive, and just as successful. So I know you're going to tell us a little bit more about your story, but let me ask you, were you able at such a young age, your mid-20s, to start your own business and be an entrepreneur in a way that people usually will get 20 years under their belt? They'll often make their mistakes at someone else's expense. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you got started in that journey.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, my dad was an entrepreneur himself. That was instilled in the family and myself from a young age, watching him be a sales consultant for a variety of different organizations, run his own schedule, etc. So I had that knowledge of what running your own operation looked like. You know, my story is pretty interesting. I worked for the Adler Planetarium. I worked for the Chicago Blackhawks, like these premium organizations in the city of Chicago, and I was just never able to get over that hump to one, land a full-time position, but also you know, interviewing for jobs, always down to the last two people, and going up against like people with really extensive resumes against mine, which was new out of school, and you know, I can never break through. And by, let's say, the 20th or 30th interview, I was just done with that process. I decided to jump in feet first and really pursue this idea I had in college about, you know, providing the same opportunities that Fortune 500 companies get to our small business communities. I knew a few business owners from my parish. I'm a St. Gerald Giant, so if you're familiar with the South Side, that is a school located in Oak Lawn. And I knew a few business owners from the parish, and I engaged them initially to be client number 1 and 2, and then I joined the Oak Lawn Chamber, and from there it just sort of started spreading like wildfire, and I was able to work it up to 14 contracted clients. And then in 2019, before the pandemic hit, I was looking to start a family, and I needed a different way of life. So I was going to talk with all my clients. Jose was one of the first that I engaged, and he offered me a full-time opportunity, and the rest is history.
Yeah, we were all a little jealous of that. We wish that we had thought of it before Jose did, but you've just done so well with JP Architects. So tell us a little bit more about your journey. We said at the beginning that it was all about the journey and what you learned along the way and lifelong learning. So tell us about the journey, because you're very young to be in the position you're in. At 32, many of us are just starting to kind of figure out what it was all about. So tell us how you learned so much so early, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. So at a very early age, I had to face some pretty serious adversity. 18 years old, my father passed away, and I needed to adjust to that new life. And that really gave me a knowledge base, a foundation to start from. Okay, so like ultimately what that allowed me to do was just really gain an understanding into who I am and what I do well and how I can survive and do good things in this life. So, you know, it was a very tough situation, but I believe that, you know, you're formed and you become how you respond to the adversity that life throws at you.
Yeah.
You can either like fold or you can rise from the ashes. And I took that as an opportunity to rise, but I don't want it to get mistaken that it was something that happened overnight. Like, it took a lot of work, a lot of effort on myself personally, whether that's through counseling or some different, you know, other elements that I turned to during that time to really become and overcome that really tumultuous situation.
So maybe talk about how you got through being bereaved at such a young age. Did you have counselors? Did you have mentors? How did you get through those difficult years?
Definitely. So one of the things that my family did was lean on our parish, St. Gerald. You know, luckily we had that community around us, and that is something that I will always be thankful for, because we always had someone to turn to. So from that standpoint, we had local people to help us out through that situation. Secondly, you know, I did turn to counseling. The first time it did not work. So, you know, it was just something that I wasn't open to. But I went back at 25, and I had a little more time to think about what had happened and not be so emotionally troubled by the situation, affected, you know, and it really helped. It allowed me to dive deep and understand, like, yeah, that's a rough situation to go through, but, you know, I've always thought of it like we as 18 millennials at that point, you know, have so much life to look forward to. So like that's really what I keep my eye on, is what is in the future, instead of focusing on, you know, this horrible situation that happened in the past.
Yeah, and I can see that it has made you a deeper, more empathetic young man than many young men in their late 20s and early 30s. So, you know, when you get through the fire, you can look at what you gained on that journey, Nick. And you mentioned the future. So what are you excited about? Well, for the future?
From a professional standpoint, I really think like these developments in AI, artificial intelligence, are going to transform like every industry. I mean, I'm not just talking about self-checkout, like that is already here and that's going to stay, but I'm talking about how we create. AI is going to give us the ability to create faster than we've ever created before, and from a marketing standpoint, that's really exciting. Because you don't know how much time that I spend on writing a blog or, you know, putting together a piece of content, where now I could potentially turn to AI to write a first draft and then bring that forward to put my own personal touch into that.
Right.
So like that's the professional standpoint. From a personal standpoint, you know, I'm really excited about growing my family, spending time with them, going on family vacations. I have a 18-month-old son, little Harrison, and you know, me and my wife, love spending time with him.
You're a high school sweetheart.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So we've been together a long time, senior year of high school, and it's been 14 years, 15 years at this point. With 4 years married, so coming up on that big 5-year anniversary.
Yeah. So what is one piece of advice you, the father, the husband, the businessman, what would you say to your younger self? Maybe your 16-year-old Nick.
Yep. You know, I would say commit to what you love. In high school, that's really difficult. So I was a baseball player, but like, in order to be great at something, you have to commit to it. So I was good. I was never great. I think I could have been great if I committed to that sport and allowed myself that time to get better every single day. Hard to understand as a 16-year-old, but I really do believe that when you do put the effort in, you get the most out.
Absolutely. And I think even to understand that now is terrific. I think for some of us it takes, many decades to realize that, one, to do what you love, and then to dedicate yourself to it, to believe in yourself with 100% passion, and it'll get you to the goal. Anything you want is possible, but you've got to believe in it, and then you've got to put the work in.
Yep.
And that's what commitment is. Just really, I think, a fancy word for work really hard at it, and you'll get to where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And take chances. Like, there is no better time than when you're young to take a chance on something, because you'll have so much time to make up if that fails.
Yeah.
Failure's okay. You learn that at a young age. You're going to be set up for much later in life. You're going to be set up better.
That's excellent. So how can our viewers reach you and JP Architects if they would like to know more about a building, a design, architecture?
Yeah, so you can check out our website at www.jparchitectsltd.com. You can give us a call, 708-907-3651, or check us out on social media. I did want to take this opportunity to expand a little bit on what that process actually looks like when you do engage us.
Absolutely.
We go out on site at no cost to see what you want to do, to see what vision you are looking to bring into reality. And that's what architecture is really all about. It's about bringing ideas into reality. And it's a really beautiful thing when it does come together. So following that, we'll put together some schematic designs. Those are floor plans. Schematic design is the fancy term in the industry for the actual process that's taking place. We'll put together the construction documents. Those allow you to actually get permit from the city, because permitting is a big part that most people actually don't understand, as part of the process. You cannot conduct construction without having a permit from the city if you're touching certain elements of your building.
Yeah.
So we put together those documents that allow you to pull that permit from the city.
Yeah. And it just amazes me. My husband, as many of our viewers know, is a contractor and a builder. And when I look at those plans with all those different pages, and every single one of them is for maybe a different subcontractor, and they cannot even make a hairline mistake, because everyone's work depends on the work before and the work to come after. It's scientific, and I am in awe of how a building comes together.
Yeah, it's not very complicated once you're actually putting it together, but like those early processes of getting the right measurements in place are critical to the success of the project.
And to what extent does a homeowner, let's just talk about residential, who has a dream, to what extent can that be brought to reality, or a vision? Because we as a layperson would know so little about the rules of building and the whole process. So is it possible to take someone's vision and be able to give them something along the lines of what they wanted, even though they don't know all the things you have to take into consideration?
I mean, that's a good question. I think it's going to vary from project to project at the end of the day. It really depends on what the codes and the zoning laws are within that municipality. So Palos Heights has different codes and zoning, regulations than Oak Lawn, and so on and so forth. It goes down the line. Chicago is the most stringent. So, we look at each project, though, as how can we make the client's vision a reality, closest to what the reality they want. So, it's about really finding the way to make it happen, and that comes through on-site meetings with the client. That comes through giving them different design options so that they can choose what best fits their lifestyle. Here in Palos Heights, we've completed a few different projects over the years. Two that come to mind. One was an addition to a home. So, if you want to check out our website. A lot of homes are split-level homes here in
Yes.
Palos Heights. So how do you add an addition to a split-level home? We found a way to do that that's aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, and makes sense. And then the other was a full renovation of a 3-story home. So every single floor was touched to help that homeowner live a more comfortable life.
Oh, I love it. It was great learning more about architecture and more about you, Nick. How about if we finish with a favorite poem, quote, something inspirational, something that you go to, some words of wisdom were given to you?
Yep.
Anything come to mind?
Yeah, there's one quote that I've really been attached to lately, and that's having a young son. Some days are longer than others, but the days feel long, but the years fly by.
Oh.
So I really believe what that means to me is live in the moment. Even though a day might feel long, you'll miss something little, and you won't. It'll never be able to come back. That year is going to end very quickly. So, I'm noticing that a lot more, and I think that if we all lived in the moment a little more instead of worrying about all these outside factors and elements that can affect our life and do, but we would be better off as a society living in the moment.
To live in the now, the
Yep.
moment. I love it. What a great lesson for us today. Thank you again, Nick,
Thank you,
so
Eileen.
much for visiting with us. Thank you, viewers, for watching, and we will see you next time on Where the Road Rises. Thanks, and bye.